Loneliness is an interesting thing. I actually like being by myself, and I think that that's why I do so well on the road full time, because I can go long periods of time without having to have that interaction at the same face-to-face level, but that doesn't mean that I don't struggle with it. And though I don't talk about it often, because it doesn't happen often, I still do go through bouts of loneliness. So let's talk about it. For me, loneliness isn't a bad thing. It's your body saying, hey, we need a change. Really, that's what all emotions are. It's kind of your warning system, letting you know that you need to make a change or make an adjustment so that you can get back on track. And loneliness is no different. So I first want to say that feeling lonely is not a bad thing. It's not something to be ashamed of. In fact, it's a way that you get to learn about yourself even more on a personal level. I actually like to be by myself. It gives me a cleanse and a detox, and I actually need those times to be alone to get through whatever I'm working through. So I'm actually a really friendly and outgoing person despite being more introverted. I have no problem sparking up conversation and getting things rolling and saying hi to people and being a part of their journey. But I'm also perfectly fine being on my own, writing my own chapter. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think a lot of nomads and people that do solo travel are very similar in that we are perfectly fine being on our own, but we're also okay having small bits of doses of people. I find that my loneliness sensor activates when I'm going through times of struggle. This time last year was one of my most loneliest times on the road. I was in Colorado and I had just left from my family's house and I had switched rigs, so I had gone from a truck camper to my 4Runner and I was in the acclimation stages. I was also transitioning from fall into winter, and that's already a hard enough time to be on the road by yourself, but then to be in a rig that I had to be outside cooking dinner in the elements just made it 10 times more impactful. So thanks to my friend Katrina, she got me into this community called Lady Owned Toyotas, where it's a bunch of women who drive Toyotas. Doesn't matter if they're off-road capable or stock or whatever the level of modifications that they have. It's all about this community of women who empower each other no matter what the walk of life is. And I got really involved with the Colorado group. I was in Buena Vista, Colorado, and I had been dealing with the colder temperatures in the 4Runner, and I was starting to feel the darkness of winter and the cold temperatures and just the brutal, harsh reality that I chose to not go south for the winter. And I was approaching Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I was just feeling overall alone and cold and kind of depressed in a way. And sometime in November, I met up with 3 LOTS, or Lady Owned Toyota members. And we went to a hot spring and got some Mexican food and just bonded. I had such an amazing time with these ladies. I didn't realize I was battling with loneliness until I was surrounded with other people. And when they went back home, I was left with this mixed feeling of satisfaction, but even more heightened loneliness. And I sat there contemplating what the heck I was doing on the road full time. Why was I in Colorado? Why did I get a 4Runner? Why am I where it's cold? Why am I not with friends and family? And I just started going down this road of self-doubt, and I knew I needed to change my course really quickly. Don't get me wrong. In that time that I was feeling this weird sense of emotions, I still absolutely loved being in my 4Runner. I loved having my dogs around me, and I loved being on the road. But let's take a step back and realize that being on the road full time is not always rainbows and sunshines. It's actually pretty hard a lot of the time. During those times of hardships, I find myself battling with the loneliness more than any other time. I'm going to share some of the tips that I use to combat my loneliness. I think the first tip would be to just accept that life on the road is going to have its lonely spells. If you go in with an open mind, it's going to be easier for you to handle the situations when they come up. Force yourself to smile and truly mean it. Find something each morning and throughout the day that helps you cling on to your purpose. So one way that I achieve that is by making it a point to catch as many sunrises as I possibly can. One of my favorite parts about being on the road full time is all of the incredible sunrises and sunsets that I've seen. Another tip is to challenge my introvertedness and to make friends wherever I go. I've been blessed with so many friends spread across the United States that I know that I can go almost anywhere, for the most part, and I'm able to go hang out with them and spend time with them, time that is desperately needed to combat that loneliness. The next tip would be to challenge that introvertedness and meet locals. Meet people in the areas that you're staying and make friends. Build those connections, and you never know when those connections will need you or you will need them, and that's a great way to combat loneliness. Another thing that I do is I will go to a hot spring or go on a hike, get out of my element, get out of the funk, and force myself to have a change of scenery. A big one is to not neglect your basic needs. Make sure you're eating healthy and drinking enough water and taking care of what you need to feel good. Another tip is to be kind to yourself. So because I'm an extroverted introvert and I pride myself in being independent and on my own, unless it comes to tools. Tools, for some reason, I have a disconnect with, but for the most part, I do have this self-reliance about me. It's easy for me to make myself feel bad for being lonely. Like, come on, Natalie, snap out of it. You shouldn't be dealing with this. You're super independent. Like, what's wrong with you? And I have to remind myself to be kind to how I'm feeling. It's okay to feel lonely. It's not okay when you stay there. So instead of me being hard on myself, I try to encourage myself and remind myself, like Gandalf said, this too shall pass. When I'm really feeling down in the dumps, I try to give myself a project or a plan. Come up with a new strategy. Where do I want to go next? And start mapping it out and try to find as many interesting and cool things as I can on the way. It's important to take time to relax, and it's okay to get a hotel or a cabin or stay at a friend's house for a period of time, especially if that friend will help you get out of that loneliness spell. There's been so many times that my friends just simply letting me stay at their house with my dogs has been the exact detox that I needed. It's okay to take time to relax, and it's okay to spend time with people who care about you. And it's okay to take a break from the road if that's what you need for your mental health. There's nothing wrong with that. In every single lifestyle, it's gonna have its challenges. When I lived in a house, I struggled with feeling stuck, and I went on my vacations to get out of it. Just like on the road, I go through spells of feeling stuck as well. And that's just part of life. So the quicker you come to terms with that, the easier the transition. Another tip that I follow is to go buy something that brings me joy. That could be a fluffy blanket, a new pair of socks, a comfy sweatshirt, or a new piece of clothing, whatever the case may be. It's okay to splurge and help you get out of those funks. And in an effort for me to stay responsible with that methodology, I have an ongoing rule. If I buy something, I have to donate something, and that helps me keep it under control. Another tip is to stimulate your mind. I try to do yoga or some type of meditation, whether that's through breathing, reading the Bible, or another book. Anything to get me out of this current funk into something else to help me distract the way that I'm feeling. This next tip is a huge one for me, and that's just to pull my camera out and start taking pictures and video. Sometimes I'm in a really gloomy mood, and just getting my camera out there and filming something and then putting some crazy music to it whether I release the video or not, helps me kind of communicate with the way that I'm feeling. And that has been a really awesome way for me to express my creative thinking during those emotions. Another tip that I follow is when I'm having these feelings, it is so hard to get up and move. But by going on a run or a hike and just getting out there and being one with nature has really helped me get out of these funks sooner. They call that endorphins, and endorphins make you happy, and happy people just don't ... If you watch Legally Blonde, you know where I was going with that. But it's true. Even if it's just stepping out into the grass and closing your eyes and lifting your face towards the sky and taking deep breaths, it's gonna go a long way. And that's really helped me overcome my bouts of loneliness. One of the biggest things that I do when I'm feeling that certain way is I'll call my parents. I'm blessed to have both of my parents, and they both are very supportive of me and my journey. I think the biggest tip, though, at the end of the day, is to recognize that your emotions are very important and to never let anything or anyone belittle those feelings. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel like you're lonely. And it's okay to want to be alone. And I think as long as you can accept that and recognize the signs, you're doing a pretty good job managing that. So that's how I deal with loneliness on the road. It doesn't happen often for me, but it definitely happens. And when it does, it's kind of like a wave crashing over me. It completely consumes me. And these tips and tricks have definitely helped me overcome that challenge. At the end of the day, I've always said, I want to continue to do this road life until it's no longer fun. And I'm not gonna lie, the times that I've wanted to quit were when I was feeling pretty lonely. And having these tips and tricks has definitely helped me get out of this funk and redirect that energy so that I can stay out on the road longer and healthier. If you have any tips and tricks that you'd like to share with myself and my viewers, please leave a comment below and share how you overcome your loneliness. Whether that be on the road or in your day-to-day life, it doesn't matter. Loneliness is still loneliness. So that's gonna wrap up another For Realsies episode. I hope you found this information useful and helpful, and if you did, give it a like and share with your friends and family or anyone that you think would benefit from this content today. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss out on future content. And until next time, stay safe and socialized, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.